Cool, cool, like we go into school. Cool, 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 cool. Cool, cool, don't be a fool. Yeah, cool, cool, cool. Cool, cool, like we're going to school. Cool, 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 cool. Look at me, I'm being cool. I'm cool, yes I am. I'm cooler than a Spanish man. Spanish men are pretty cool themselves, and I think everyone's cooler than elves. I don't like elves. They're not cool, no. Elves are fools. Elves are fools because they're not cool. And they're not cool because they don't go to school. Go to school, get an education. Go to school to graduation. Go to school. Go to school. Go to school and you be cool.
Do you know whoever like OCAST director or whatever is?
Yes.
California. What's going on, everybody? Oh shit! This is the Whatever We Want podcast. Do you know what that's from? I said it kind of off because my voice hasn't woken up yet. You don't know what that's from? Was it The Wizard? You remember the game about the little boy?
Oh, okay, The Wizard. All right.
He kept yelling about wanting to go to
California.
California.
Oh, he kept wanting to go to California. Okay, yeah. Also, I almost just poked my eye with the spoon because I left it in the cup when I drank from it.
Anyway, this is a Whatever We Want podcast. What's going on? I am your boy Jazz, aka Superjaz.
Superjaz. I'll wake you up.
Aka SJ, JT, whatever you want, what have you. And I am here with my good friend, the other host, but he is nowhere near at least. What's going on?
Y'all know who it is, what's going on, when it's happening, where it's at, and why we're here today. How you doing? It is I, the sublimely magnificent, big ugly himself, Omari Ellis, here yet again. Also occasionally referred to as Jazz and or Ibn S. Pete on the show.
Ibn, of course, being my brother who comes on episodes every now and then. This, like I said previously, is the Whatever We Want podcast, where in this show, we do just that. We talk about whatever we want. I always say we do not lead the conversation. The conversation leads us. We let the chips fall where they may. And of course, do not attempt to adjust your computer. Yes, I have just shaven my face. So if I look a little funny because I haven't gotten a haircut and I have no hair right here, it is what it is. Try not to roast me too hard in the comments, but shit, if anything, we'll have comments. So there you go.
Joe patchwork ass side work. I'm sorry. You said the roasting, so I've never been good at roasting.
I was just about to say, if you're gonna roast, at least do a better job than he just did.
Nah.
It was like you attempted. But then the second you started, you were like, I'm bad at this. Like,
yeah, I'm like, I ain't got nothing else to say.
But this is not coming out right. No. Anyway.
Yeah. So, Jazz, I would like to say, based off of a previous video, first off, yes, Whatever We Want podcast, that is what we do. We talk about these every Wednesdays, 3 Ws.
I always forget to say videos every Wednesday.
We always talk about the 3 Ws, but we don't talk about the 4th W, and that is Wednesday. Every week that it comes on. Hey, there's a 5th one, weekly. Oh. I can barely hear it. Oh, there it is. There it is. Yep. Yep.
Okay, as you were.
So, Jazz, I am happy.
Why we have you, bro? Why we have you?
Because, as opposed to the last episode that we recorded a few weeks ago, in the middle of an event where I opened the episode saying, I am sad.
Oh.
We won!
We came back on the last day and clutched it out by 1 gold medal. The USA won the fucking Olympics. There's the American flag right there. Yes, it is. We won the fucking Olympics. USA. USA. USA.
I don't know how I feel about this. Like, you about to, do you and the flag need a moment? The fuck? What the fuck? You want me to, like, go away for a quick, cover up my screen, and all the viewers
with the somber nature that last week, and I was just like, oh man. Sad. We're gonna lose. The China's just gonna run away with everything. Yeah, we got the most medals in total, but we don't have all the gold, so they still got the bragging right. We got the gold from the last day. Men's basketball team remembered how to play. Kevin Durant and the folks and Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton and all of them came through in the clutch. Got that gold in basketball that we should have had anyway. They made us sweat, but they took it home. Congratulations to all the competitors of the United States and everywhere else around the world that competed in the Olympiad.
You said everywhere else around the world, like you didn't want to say it, but you like.
Well,
you had
I felt like it's not so much that I didn't want to say it, but I felt like I would be some form of ist if I only said America. If I only congratulated America.
It took me a second. Some form of ist. I was like, wait, oh, okay.
If I didn't congratulate the non-American countries.
So it's like basically you're saying you'd be some form of ist if you didn't congratulate them. But the rest of this is you going hard as shit about how like
I'm allowed to be happy when my team wins a sporting event.
So then
that's why you're a team. That's why you're a fan. You're allowed to be happy when your team wins.
What I mean is, if you didn't congratulate them, but you're going this hard anyway, I don't think there's that much of a divide.
I didn't come out here and go, fuck everybody else, y'all all
That's
suck.
The point I'm making.
All I said is, yay, America, USA, we still did it.
That's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making. You didn't, so I don't think you had to be like.
Because I mean, you look for the people who are like, "Oh, you with your I am sad." Like I said last time, I'm used to rooting for bad teams. So when I see the team trending badly, I'm like, "Oh shit, here we go again." I'll still root for the team, but yes, I lose faith when we're behind because I'm used to rooting for bad teams. It's not like I often root for good teams, aside from the Cardinals. Yay, Cardinals! St. Louis Cardinals. Fuck the Arizona Cardinals. St. Louis Cardinals. What, they left? Fuck them. That's why they've been bad ever since. But yeah. What am I talking about? Sports. Sports are cool. We already went all into a whole thing sports related for that last topic. But now we can move on. I just wanted to say that yes, I am indeed happy. USA did it. Yay. United States. Yay, Olympics.
At the risk of...
It might be the last time we win the Olympics, but we won it.
At the risk of bringing up a topic that we probably talked about last video that we recorded, because I don't remember. But, and again, everybody, just to date it because of what we're talking about, but it is August 16th, 2021 at the moment when we are recording this. But no, do you like the Olympics? Like, do you like the Olympics time and all that stuff?
Yes, because I get to root for a winning team. But aside from that, yes, I like certain events of the Olympics. Do I turn on all the TVs all day? I gotta catch all Olympics all the time? Nah, I'm gonna be honest. It's only certain events, and even then, yeah, I might not. Well, it was harder to watch the Olympics this year anyway.
It was. I mean, well, we know why.
It was definitely and weird. All that other stuff. No, just the accessibility wasn't like it had been in years past. So it's one of those things where I'm like, even if I had the time, which I may not have, had the time to sit there and have everything watching the Olympics and watch events that I didn't care about but end up caring about them, I couldn't. So there was that. But usually I just pay more attention to like some of the gymnastics, the main races of track, though, fastest whatevers, and the occasional like ever since the advent of Phelps, the swimming. Because
Michael
again,
Phelps made swimming primetime TV. He made it primetime TV.
well,
It
yeah,
wasn't that important until he went nuts in, I think it was '08.
well, yeah, and because like I said, I don't want to get too deep into why do people like sports thing, because that was literally our whole last video. You're like, why the fuck do people like sports? And I'm like, ah. So
Yeah, right.
this
Yeah, right.
one, I was just saying, like, I like being invested in things. So being invested in a sport makes me enjoy it more. I can watch a sport just to see people compete, but I like being invested. So generally it's like, oh, a top 3 and there's like an American or somebody that is otherwise cool like in the competition that I can root for. Okay, let's root for this person. Like, oh, this dude, like let's say it's shot put, and yes, we had the 2 best shot putters there, which helped me watch that. But let's say there were no Americans in the shot put, but there were some dudes that looked as fucking ridiculous as they do. Just like, oh, look at this dude. This dude is gonna throw the fuck out of that ball. That kind of shit. Like, all right, let's see how this happens. So yeah, that's that. But Olympics as a whole, I mainly watch because the country I'm from tends to do well.
I mean that's like interesting but fair. The reason why I brought that up, or at least like posed the question, was because one of my good friends, I was playing the Olympics in the shop, like at least every other shift, if not every shift that I was working. And he was always trying to play something else because me and my good friend, we working together right now. And he was always trying to play something else. And I was like, dude, oh shit, my bad, y'all, hitting my camera. But I was like, dude, let's watch the Olympics. And he was like, oh, I'm so tired of the Olympics. I was like, oh, because you're seeing it a lot. Like, but it's Olympic season. And he was basically saying, he was like, I never liked the Olympics. I was like, damn, really?
There are people that don't like. I can't explain why people don't like sports. Like,
I mean, you're allowed.
No,
you're allowed to not like the Olympics. I'm just surprised a little bit more as to people who I could say not so much like I guess vehemently, but vehemently for lack of a better word, people who vehemently dislike the Olympics over other sports because the Olympics comes every 4 years as opposed to a football, a basketball, a hockey, whatever that's every year. And there's more of a variety of shit. So that's why I'm just like...
Well, yeah, the every 4 years thing is why I like the Olympics.
It adds more prestige.
I pay attention to it. It's like, hell, soccer. I think I've gone on record saying I'm not the biggest fan of soccer, which, yes, that is a sport America sucks at compared to the rest of the world, which doesn't help. But I'll at least pay some attention during, like, World Cup season. Because it's the World fucking Cup. And as long as America's still involved, you got my attention. But we're usually out early, so then I'm like, okay, I may watch the finals because it's the finals of the World Cup.
That's true. I was just saying, like, the way he was just like, I never liked the Olympics. That's like, neither one of us, me and, my friend I'm talking about, neither one of us are like big sports dudes. I might be much more of a casual sports watcher than him, definitely. But it was just the fact that it's just like, you really don't like the Olympics? And I'm like, I mean, watch it every now and then, but he was like, I never like it. I don't like. I'm not gonna get something out of it. They got everything. They got everything from basketball to soccer to badminton to fucking rhythmic gymnastics with the ribbon twirling,
skateboarding this year.
Skeet shooting. Now they added skateboarding and rock climbing.
Apparently, breakdancing is gonna be at a future Olympics.
I'm telling you, man, it is. Yeah, the next one in 2024. It is.
Like.
Paris is going to be the first to kick that off. Yep, it's going to be in Paris, by the way.
By the way, just to show you, like, how disrespectful the fighting games and other esports are, they literally have sports in the title.
ESports.
And they're not esports.
Oh, okay.
Fighting games and esports. They literally have sports in the title of their genre. And they ain't allowed nowhere near the Olympics. But break dancing is.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm not dissing breakdancing. I'm saying
I'm not saying you're
everybody else disses video game competition. And you are about to as well. You're like, don't do that. Don't compare playing video games to actually using your body to dance. I get it. You don't think they have any skills at the dancing and stuff, the physical capabilities that these athletes do. But I tell you, LeBron James, with all the training in the world, ain't beating like some of the best fucking game people the same way they ain't beating him in basketball. That's all I'm saying. You can respect, if we can respect 80,000 fucking things in there for the Olympics, we can add the fucking video games too. That's all I'm saying. But it's just never meant to be. Forever looked down upon. I'm just sad on that regard.
No disrespect to people that play video games, because I'm not talking about video games, or definitely people who take time to play them, because it's very much a skill. In some cases, it's a talent, and it's very much a skill, and takes a lot of time. There's a lot of money that goes into it. I would consider myself somewhat part of the FGC, fighting in community type of shit. I went down there and enjoyed, was a CEO with your ass back in 2013 with you and your boys. No, it's dope. But I am one of them people where the truest definition of sport is like, you know, probably just like the competition head-to-head kind of shit. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to certain stuff like that, like, it sounds like I'm dissing shit when I say this.
It's the whole, it doesn't take the same skill that actual athleticism takes.
That's not what I was
like saying. Anybody can pick up a controller in theory and train hard enough.
I totally just prefaced it by saying that.
I know that's not what you're saying, but that is why it will never be seen on that level. Because, you know, that is what everybody thinks that doesn't want them to be referred to as sports.
My bad. Okay, my phone went off. But no, what I was saying was, what I'm saying is it sounds like I'm dissing shit and I'm not trying to, but I get a little, like I kind of disagree when people try to say stuff that is not athletic, even in a little bit. They call it like a sport. It's more of a competition. And what I mean is they try to call battle rap like this is a sport. This is a sport. I see what you're doing because it's a head-to-head competition between at least two people one-on-one. Sometimes they have two-on-twos. Sometimes they have one-on-one-on-one, right? Like three ways every now and then, not that much. But I'm like, when I think of sports, I think of some physical activity where people are doing something like that. Like I would consider, obviously, something like a basketball or American football or soccer, football. I would consider that a sport. I would consider track a sport. I would consider, in some cases, like javelin sport, I consider fucking pole vaulting a goddamn sport. It's hard for me to necessarily consider video games or battle rap.
Do it. Like, if it takes no fucking, like, if the individual doesn't matter, anybody can do it as long as they practice enough. You fucking do it. Not you yourself, but I know you're saying you're not trying to diss everybody else, but it's literally the same fucking argument of, oh, it's not athletic, therefore it's not a legit competition or a legit sport because it doesn't take nearly the same amount of, to be, all right. Like I said, and I suck at video games, people. You don't believe me? Come fucking watch my stream. I'm fucking terrible. I'm struggling to be considered average at a game that apparently all the pros consider too fucking easy to play and should be dead soon. So that's me in that kind of regard. But I just hate the fucking notion that, oh, all you gotta do is sit there and practice and do that. I don't know how much I have practiced or done anything and whatever. My mental stuff is... Okay, never mind. You know what? Fuck it. You know what? You're right. You're right. It's not athletic. It's not... It garners no fucking respect from the world. And that's why it won't be. Because, you know, these people won't do it. Anybody can do it. Yep.
Definitely not what I said.
Nothing sets anybody up. Nothing sets the best... There's nothing that sets the best. The only thing that sets the best fighting gamer players or video game players in general, because I won't just say fighting games, because even within esports, fighting game is probably the least affected of the esports for whatever god awful reason. But nothing separates the best video game person from anybody else other than the video game person has more time to practice, as opposed to athleticism, where you can just literally be born great and then you just practice to be greater than other people who were born great. Like, because that's where athleticism comes in when it comes to other sports. Is I would never, I don't care how much I train at athleticism, I ain't touching, especially now that I'm as old as I am, which is older than him for people at home, and probably older than you if you're watching, but probably not. Who knows? Anyway, bottom line is, I would never be able to even sniff a professional sports league no matter how much I fucking practice, because I just don't have the fucking genetics for it. And to be fair, I can't think of anything genetically for why, somebody would be better at fucking video games. So I guess you're right. It's not a sport. It's not like a legit thing. It's just a competition. Like, anybody can fucking do it.
I never said that. I said it's not a sport. I never said anybody could do it. I prefaced it by saying I don't want to sound like I'm dissing it because of the skill it takes. I never said that anybody could do it or get that good. I never said that. Never said that. Very much didn't. Like when you're looking back through the edit, you could see.
I know what your exact words were. My thing is, it's still the same notion that, this thing that not myself, but others have put all their time. They put the same amount of fucking time and effort into getting good in their field, and they still have to do like the exact thing. They're just not doing the fucking on a court every day. They're still, they still get fucking lifelong injuries. It's just rather than losing their knees for their life, now they've got fucking,
carpal tunnel or something like that.
Wrist ligaments or fucking extra arthritis in their hands. Fucking melee players. Literally, there are some people that had to retire because they can't, because they had to hold their hands in a fucking weird direction just to fucking play the game at a competitive level. And then there are people who, like, literally, they're like, oh yeah, like, I physically can't use the controller anymore. I am gonna drop out of the fucking scene. Like, so it's not like, I know, who cares? You have an injured wrist, you can still live your fucking life. Not like someone who, not like Johnny Knox who got fucking bit in half and his head hit his ass. Yeah, you don't get that in your fucking fighting game sports. You know what? You're right. I'm wrong. This is not the same thing. I am nothing if not someone who can admit when he is wrong. You're right. They are not sports. They don't carry the same risk or commitment level or anything like that as a normal sport.
I'm not saying they don't carry the same risk. All I'm saying is when it comes to things that do not have that level of, they don't have that level of like huge physicality that I guess that I am used to, and it seems more of a competition in that sense. That's why I brought up battle rap as well. So it's not like I'm just attacking the fighting game.
Mm-hmm. It's too mentally involved. Normal sports don't really involve the mental aspect of it.
I didn't try to say that.
No, I'm saying like.
That's what it sounded like. That's not what I tried to say.
It's not. You said it's not as physically involved as sports, and I'm saying you're right. It's not as physically involved as the athletic sports, and thus I can see where you're coming from. It's not a sport. It's too mentally focused. Normal sports don't really have that whole mental aspect to them. It's just I'm bigger than you. And
I'm not saying like let's not get it muddled. I'm not saying that it's a sport because it's too much mental. I'm saying it's a sport because it seems as though there's not as much on the physical. That's what I'm saying. There's a difference between saying there's too much mental or not as much physical. If you really can see that. There's too much.
Well, if it's not a physical competition, what kind of competition is it? It's got to have the competition's got to come. Okay,
But
if it's not
do you,
I
do
guess
you
my
understand?
thing is if your
We're
argument
getting
is
we're getting caught up. We're getting caught up
well,
in
this
semantics.
is why I'm asking you.
But
If your this is why I'm trying to ask what your argument is because I've already conceded that it's not a sport. I'm just trying to figure out what the argument is since we're continuing it. If it's not a physical sport, and you're also saying that it's not a mental sport, but you're still saying it's a competition. How are they competing? Like, what's the competition aspect of it if it's not involved with physical or mental?
okay, so this is what I was saying, right? That's what. So the words are getting a little muddled. No, I was saying it is. I don't see it so much as a sport, not because it's too much mental. I see it more as a sport because there's not as much physical. That's why I was saying, because you were like, oh, well, there's too much mental side. It's like, no, just because there's not a lot of physical doesn't mean that I had a problem with it. No, I'm just saying it doesn't feel like a sport because there is too much. I mean, because there's not as much focus on the physical side of the competition aspect, not because there's too much focus on the mental side. That's not the reason why I say that it doesn't feel like a sport. The mental has nothing to do with me saying yes or no to the sport aspect. For jazz, it feels not like a sport and things don't feel necessarily like a sport to me because there's not enough physical, and that's it. It has nothing to do with emotional, mental, spiritual, whatever else. It doesn't feel like a sport because there's not as much focus when it comes to the physical activity. Bam. Has nothing to do with, oh, this don't feel like a sport to me because there's too much focus on mental. Because there's mental focus on a lot of sports in general that we don't see. So that's why that has nothing to do with my conclusion. My conclusion just says the physical side, I gotta just think about it more so they could bring an argument to me to make me see because there's not as much focus on physical. That's it. That's what I'm getting at. So there you go.
So breakdancing is a sport and fighting games are not because it involves you being physical. Gotcha. Or esports are not because it involves you being physical. I just ask, what if they? I hope they wouldn't, because why would you? But what if, let's say, DDR was still possible? Would you accept? And that was competitive at like any other esport. Would that be considered a sport because it's physical, even though it's still playing a video game?
Okay, well, let me say
If
this.
breakdancing is also a sport?
Let me say this. There's definitely, out of most of the popular dances in the first place, breakdancing is like, one of the more athletic styles of dance just in general, period. Although there are like other dances that are athletic, but breakdancing just in and of itself as a whole is like shit. When it first happened, I think some motherfuckers were trying to say it wasn't so much dancing and probably more on just the flashy side because of the athleticism. So I would definitely say if there was a dance style, they were going to put the sport moniker on, even though clearly they're putting this in the Olympics probably to try to get more viewers because everybody knows breakdancing and it's flashy as shit. I'm gonna watch it. I want to fucking see somebody in France go against somebody in fucking South Africa playing some fucking bass heavy rap. Like I want to hear that, see that shit. But
and
yeah.
I'm not saying I have anything against it being there. I was more just saying
no, I'm
that
gonna
I
ask you a
found
question.
it interesting that
I'm gonna ask you a question. So I was gonna say though, if it came down to them starting to put video games in there, and again, I don't want it to sound like I'm dissing shit because it takes a lot of time to get to be good at fucking anything in life, really, video games notwithstanding. And I love watching people play video game shit online because of like how fucking like much time you got to put into it. I consider those people professionals on the same level in their field as other heavy competitors, sports or otherwise. But yes, if it came to DDR or something of the like, yeah, I would consider, if they decided they wanted to put DDR or, those type games, I would consider that a sport first before I would consider playing something along the lines of, say, Call of Duty.
Okay.
Yeah, I would. Because of the physical. Yeah, I would.
All right.
Because you see people playing that shit at like say Dave and Buster's or some shit, and the people who are fucking amazing at DDR, where they could play like both pads for one person going back and forth and shit. And when they finish, motherfuckers like fucking sweating and shit. You gotta take a sip of water. You know, might go from a fucking regular shirt to a tank top. Yeah. So that's why it's just when they call battle rap a sport, as much as I love battle rap, I keep bringing it up. And I mean, there is physicality like fucking battle rap.
I was like, they get in fights, don't they?
And it's not even just the fights. And honestly, they don't get in as much fights with battle rap as you would like expect, because when you jump in the ring with battle rap, as much as they talk about your mama, they talk about your kid, they talk about they gonna kill you, they talk about you ain't shit, they dig up dirt on your ass from shit that you shouldn't have been doing in your life when you were fucking 19 years old and now you might be 30. You know what you're signing up for. So you know he gonna talk all shit about my fucking mom and dad and my crippled aunt and all this shit, but you know what you're signing up for. So usually when the battle's over, the competitors usually dap each other up, and then they fucking, you know, talk a little shit about I won, laughing and joking. They might have a drink because they know you said all this shit, but you respected me enough to give a fuck to try to beat me that hard. And then now that it's over, you know, we were competitors. But there's more physicality in battle rap, but I still even look at that. As much as I love the battle rap community, when they say this sport, I'm like, I get muddled in between the difference between the word sport and competition.
It's competition for entertainment's sake, you'd say, when it comes to like battle rap or video games.
It's very much still a competition.
It's competition for entertainment's sake. Right.
I mean, I would say all sports are for entertainment's sake, but yeah, I guess.
But competition for entertainment's sake, as opposed to sports, because it doesn't involve anything physical. I mean, I ask you one more question because I'm just curious now.
Okay.
Do you consider if the main difference between if they're both competition for entertainment's sake, esports, quote unquote,
I would say
and regular sports. I'm saying if athletic sports and electronic sports / battle rap are all competition for entertainment's sake, your main separating factor is the physical athleticism involved. Mm-hmm. Where does pro wrestling go?
Okay, I never said for entertainment's sake though. You added that.
But
because I would say all sports are for entertainment's sake.
Well, yes. So how does that change what pro wrestling is? It's competition where it's almost entirely for. Well, I'm just saying pro wrestling. I'm saying pro wrestling is two people competing entirely for entertainment's sake. Mm-hmm. But it is two people still competing each time. And when you look at people who want to get bigger names and stuff like that, they're still the competitive nature in that regard, even if stuff is scripted or not. But that's for dirt sheets to discuss who is involved in what of those. But my idea is like, would you say pro wrestling, where does that fall?
It's a sport. It is a sport where the outcome is predetermined. Some people would say fake. The injuries and shit ain't fake, but it is a predetermined sport. While all the other sports are not predetermined, as far as we know, because motherfuckers could be shaving points and fixing games. But all the other sports are not predetermined. It is a predetermined sport.
Okay, I agree.
Okay.
I was just curious. I'm like,
podcast over. What the fuck? This never happens.
What? That we agree on something?
I'm fucking with you.
I'm gonna say we agree on a lot.
Well, it never happens that we so adamantly go. We so adamantly go back and forth on some shit, and then we're like, actually, you made a good point. Like, wait, what?
No, I agree. I'm like, it is a sport that is predetermined, but it's still a sport in and of itself.
There we go. All right. And the definition of sport, according to Google, sports. Okay. Sport pertains to any form of competitive physical activity or game that aims to use, maintain, or improve physical ability and skills while providing enjoyment to participants and, in some cases, entertainment to spectators. Sports can, through casual or organized participation, improve one's physical health.
Okay.
There you go.
Video games are not a sport. All right.
What defines sport? The Council of Europe Charter on Sport uses the following definition. Sport means all forms of physical activity which through casual organized participation aim at expressing or improving physical fitness and mental well-being, forming social relationships, or obtaining results in competition at all levels. Okay.
Fair enough. So, yep, no skill required when it comes to the video games and stuff.
Nobody said it was no skill required.
No, literally the dictionary says it can't be a sport if it's not physical. There's no real... Anybody can do it, so it's not a sport because there's no physical limitation involved. Which there isn't a physical limitation in video games. You can play video game. You can be a great fighting game player, at very least better than me, using nothing but your mouth and a controller. Brawley Legs is a good example of that.
Oh, there's somebody that just plays with his mouth?
He literally can't play with anything else. He has like one fully functional hand and like his legs he's paraplegic. And I'm not dissing him if that's what this sounds like.
It does not sound like that.
But yeah, he literally controller to mouth and moves this, and his one good hand presses buttons, and he plays like Chun-Li, who's a charge character at that.
He's amazing.
And he's better than I am. He hasn't done anything in a while, but he's done well at tournaments. He's done well enough at tournaments. I don't think he's ever won any full tournaments, but he does better than most people can do with two hands, than you or I can do with two hands.
I thought you were just like saying that as like a random example. I didn't know there was actually somebody out there that was living that life. Shit, more power to him. What's his name?
Brawley Legs.
Brawley Legs. Wow.
Yeah, so he named himself after one of your least favorite Dragon Ball characters, and then Legs.
You love putting words in my fucking. I love Brawley. Brawley is the shit. Do not do this. Just because Dragon Ball Super Brawley, because people don't pause when they say it, it's not Super Brawley, it's Super Brawley. Just because Dragon Ball Super Brawley was not that good doesn't mean I don't love Brawley. Brawley is the shit.
But you also love Bio Brawley, which barely involves him at all.
Bio Brawley is dope.
See, and that's the point right there. See, no one one of your favorite Brawley movies is the one that doesn't even involve him. So that's what I'm trying to say.
He's in it. He's in it on some Frankenstein monster type shit. Before we get into this discussion, people, go ahead and look up feogrande, FEOGRANDE. Grande. Look up our DBZ movie reviews between me and this guy on his channel. And we talk about this in extensive conversation. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, yes, the guy's name is Brawley Legs. And,
so we're not going back to that?
We're not going to go back to it. Like you said, we got the whole other stuff that they can watch on my channel, because you're right. We could just spend the next 20 minutes arguing in circles about whether or not, Bio Brawley is the best or second best Brawley movie, or if, who has the right opinion on what movie is shit? Am I right in saying that Super Brawley is a good movie and Bio Brawley is shit, or is Jazz right in saying that Bio Brawley is a great movie and Super Brawley is shit? Who's right here? One of us has one of our favorite Brawley movies being one of the other's least favorite Brawley movies. And there you go.
I was totally expecting you to try to skew some stuff, to throw a little jab at me when you were saying shit, because you always talk about Bio Shit Monster and
Bio Shit Monster versus the C Team.
I was totally expecting you to that's why I was waiting. I was like, he gonna say something about some shit with them.
I mean, I did. I said the word shit numerous times.
Yeah, but you didn't say anything.
I didn't call him a shit monster in that, because we aren't doing the review where they can see the picture of the shit monster and they can be like, yeah, that's a shit monster.
It looks like sludge for y'all who don't give a fuck about DBZ. Bio Brawley, it was some radioactive goo that made
it's like greenish brown and lumpy.
It looks like sludge with blonde hair and red eyes, yes. and he gets huge and he fights him.
It's a blonde-haired shit monster.
It's not whatever. Okay, it's a fucking shit monster.
What it is.
Fucking shit monster. It was on some fucking Power Rangers. Let make my monster grow with the fucking staff, and he fucking grows and fights them and shit. You ever look back at Power Rangers as a grown man, like the original Mighty Morphin as a grown man?
Yes, actually, Twitch had a stream a couple years ago where they just streamed all Power Rangers for like a couple weeks.
All respect to the people in the original Power Rangers. 'Cause I always say there's no Power Rangers after Mighty Morphin. Okay. That shit was bad.
It was good enough. It was good enough. It was good enough for what it was. I'm not about to shit on Power Rangers. That shit was, like I said, like obviously it's what most 90s kid television was, which is, in retrospect, what the fuck were we watching? At the same time, it was solid enough. It got this. Having seen it again, I was able to appreciate it in a different way. Like, we used to think this was great, but they also had some good plot lines in there. To be fair to them, there were some good plot lines throughout it. The whole shit with the Green Ranger shit and all that.
I would say the Green Ranger and the candle.
Tommy's the fucking goat. I don't care what anyone says.
You ever think about how Jason felt, the dude that played Jason, or just Jason, the character, whichever you want to go? You ever think about how he felt where he was like the leader and like the top dog, and then this Green Ranger dude just came out of nowhere and was like, it's me.
He probably felt bad, but you know what? Sometimes that dude just shows up and you're like, I guess this is it now. I thought I was that dude, but it's the motherfucking Green Ranger. And then they're like, yeah, now he's the White Ranger, which, you know, racist, I got the White Ranger being the best one. But he was also a fucking tiger. Like, tigers are also, he went from a dragon to a tiger, so he went from one really cool creature to another cool-ass creature. And I'm like, oh shit, the white tiger. Have you seen a white tiger? Those things are fucking awesome. And they're real.
Well, and then he had the fucking eagle, and then the eagle would join with the Megazord and get a bitch the ability to fly. That's why I was like,
godlike.
I was like, okay.
He got all the coolest shit. Like
it was because it was originally like the 5 of them, right? Mm. And they would form to make the Megazord. Okay, one would be a left leg, left arm, right arm, and then the head/torso was like Jason, and there you go, right? Tommy came out of nowhere, right? And I always thought
he just came in with his own fucking robot. Y'all got 5 to be y'all.
I was just about to say, Tommy came out of nowhere, and Tommy was like, hey, by the way, I am the leader now. I have my own fucking robot who's just as big as yours when you have to morph to do it. I am just as big on my own. And look what my dagger does. It can do tricks. Like, what the fuck? And then this motherfucker had a goddamn axe/gun. And he was supposed to be the White Ranger, but yeah, okay, I know.
The White Ranger had Saba, the talking dagger.
Yes, right. Oh, hey, Tommy, how are you today? Oh, wait, all right, shit. What the fuck?
Like I said, Tommy was the goat.
He was like, okay, you're the Red Ranger, you're all red with a little white, all pink with a little white. He's like, I'm white, right? But I got gold trim. Holla at me. I was like, what the fuck? Why was he getting special treatment? Like, where did he come from?
He's that dude. That just happens in the world. So that's why life ain't fair. To go back to one of the previous videos. To go back to one of our previous topics of the videos where I'm like, life isn't fair. That's a perfect example. You were sometimes you're Jason, sometimes you're Tommy, sometimes you're fucking Zach and Trini, who just like, your casting, while it still worked, people are complaining about it being racist, so we got to get rid of you. Like, sometimes you're them.
Yeah.
Even though people like myself enjoyed the original Black Ranger because, hey, look, it's the Black Ranger. Do I care that the black guy's the Black Ranger? Do I call that racist as a little kid? No. I'm like, I want to be like the Black Ranger. What the fuck's a mastodon? I don't know, but the Black Ranger is, so I like the fucking mastodon.
Hey, I mean, come on. Look at that. And he fought
with fucking hip hop karate or whatever.
Hip hop keto.
Yeah, hip hop keto. That shit was godlike. I don't care. I don't care if people think it's racist. That's just stereotypical. And sometimes stereotypical works enough for just representation. Sometimes not everybody sees a stereotype and thinks negative. They think, hey, that's our culture on TV and people finding it cool, which most kids did. And that's what you want.
He would fight like, he'd be like, bam. And remember the opening, he was like, hit, kick. And do that shit.
Look at this dude.
And he was the one ranger too, because everybody always wore like their color when they were just walking around as the teens. He would wear black with like other random ass colors too, because black is
goes
like
with everything.
Yeah, black is all colors too, technically. Yeah. So. Like I think,
or the absence of color, depending on who you which spectrum you're using.
Touche. But no, man. I was gonna say, do I care? No. Did I really care as a kid? Fuck no. But let's look back. Come on. They did the shit on purpose. The black dude is the Black Ranger.
I don't care.
The Asian girl is the Yellow Ranger.
I don't care that they did that on purpose.
Native American heritage is the Red Ranger.
I did not know that.
The
girl is the Pink Ranger. The
girl is the pink and the boy is blue. Yeah.
Okay.
Do I care? No, I don't
Hell
care.
No. Even as an adult, did they do it on purpose? More than fucking likely. Surprise, surprise. The DC superhero named Black Lightning or Black Falcon or the Marvel superhero, the Black Panther, all happen to be black people on top of being described the color black. And everybody still likes all of those characters. As long as they didn't have the Black Ranger Zach come out here be like, yes sir, massive watermelons and fried chicken.
He done done that.
Or they didn't have Trini out here, doing the Aristocats, she hai chi tai ek fu young, fortune cookie, always wrong shit. Like, they didn't have them doing that. Zach wasn't like, I beat unseen about everything, but I ain't seen nobody dance like me. That's not what they did.
Oh, shit.
They presented them in a cool light that still made kids want to be like them. And that's perfectly fine.
If that motherfucker would have come out and they just said, Alpha, Aria's escape, 5 teams of that team, they all get there. Hey, Zordon, what's going on? Yes, sir, Zordon. Tells me where the big baddie is, boss.
Aye, Zordon. We don't have anyone to be the Black Ranger. Let's get that nigga over there. Like, see, now that would be fucked up.
What? Bruh, if Alpha Little Robotic squeaky voice ass said nigga. Oh, shit. Oh, man.
Could be more offensive, but I'm not gonna because this is a thing.
You were gonna say something really fucked up? You gonna say something worse than that?
Yes.
The fuck?
Bottom line is they could have gone a lot more racist, but they didn't. They just did the typecasting or stereotypes, but they still... I don't remember enough about the plot of Power Rangers, because when I was a kid, I definitely didn't pay attention to plot. Like, I thought fucking... Like I say all this shit about XMen when in the past when I was a kid. You think I had any idea that XMen had anything to do with fucking racism as a kid? No. And that's literally, if you pay attention to the plot at all, it is an entire allegory about racism.
Yeah,
but that's my idea.
It was less of a like in the vein of Power Rangers, where it was like a kind of like we did it as like a stereotype or possibly exploiting, or for lack of a better word. X-Men was very much, this is an allegory of the civil rights movement.
Right? Like the X-Men is pretty much nail on the head. But my thing is, I don't know that I didn't pay attention to plots like that. I'm like, cool shit. I want to be like the cool shit. And I don't know if they had any storylines around Trini being Asian or anything where she's like,
I don't think they ever did anything like that
and
with anybody.
You can have characters that happen to be a race that also happen to do some of the things associated with that race.
Of course.
As long as you don't present it in a negative light, I don't consider it full-on racist. There might be a stereotypical aspect to it, but And you might have done it on purpose. How do we get the black kids to watch Power Rangers? I don't know. Let's have the Black Ranger be a black person. Okay, they instantly identify with, that's the guy does shit from our culture, and he's doing it in a cool fashion. I want to be like the Black Ranger. Let me buy some toys. That's just smart marketing in my thing. And then the whole the half-ass cover-up that they tried to do for it when they fired Zack and Trini or whatever. Let's just only switch out the black and yellow ranger, and we'll have an Asian Black Ranger and a black chick yellow ranger. Like, if that's not the most obvious, oops, we're trying to fix this. Like, that's, it's not worse, obviously, but it kind of feels like it. You know what I mean? Like, you lose all, like, of the plausible, like, that's how you know they definitely did the original casting the way they did it on purpose, because that's all they tried to fix. Yeah, because that's all they tried to fix.
It feels like they, it feels a little bit like you're trying to, like, insult my intelligence. That's what you're trying to say. Because it's like, we didn't do this on purpose. We're gonna take the Asian from yellow and the black from black and put the Asian in black and the black in yellow. Like, okay.
Now, granted, that gave us one of the best voice actors we got in America, Johnny Young Bosch.
Oh yeah, what was his name? Adam, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's he a voice actor of?
Bunch of shit.
Shout out to Aisha too, by the way.
Yeah. Okay, so you ever heard of Bleach?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen anything from it? Okay. Well, no. The American dub voice actor for the main character, that Johnny Young Bosch. He's also done like 80,000 other things. He's the voice, I think, the main character in Death Note as well. He does a lot of voice acting. You haven't played a lot of video games or stuff that I'm about to list, so it doesn't work for you. But just know he's fucking out there, and his voice is in a bunch of shit. Actually, you played Marvel vs. Capcom 3 with me, right? And I'm pretty sure I had used the English voices in that one. He was Zero. Okay. He was Zero in that.
Okay.
And Zero in quite a few things, I think, since. But, you know, he's Zero. He's Nero from the Devil May Cry series when it comes to that. Starting in Devil May Cry 4, he joined in. And my friend, for my friends who pay more attention to voice acting than I do, literally heard him go like, "Argh!" Like just someone playing the game. They didn't even see like a cutscene. They're like, is that Johnny Young Bosch doing his voice? That's how iconic the guy's voice is. They heard a grunt and they knew who that was. And I'm like, what? And then I get older and I'm like, okay, yes. For instance, if you want to be able to know, hey, Johnny Young Bosch just based off of grunts, I had that similar experience when your least favorite Dragon Ball Super character got put into Dragon Ball Fighters. And they, due to an issue with the original voice actor of the character, they had Johnny Young Bosch come in and voice Super Brawley in Dragon Ball Fighters. But they didn't have him say any words. They literally just had him make various grunts and yells. That's all they had him do. That's all the fucking guy says. Like, which is funny because I'm like, at that point, and it's not like they replaced original Brawley's lines with, you know, the voice actor's lines originally recorded for original Brawley. At which point I'm like, okay, it's cool that you guys wanted to have Johnny Young Bosch in it. He did a great job with it. Couldn't you just, if you didn't want to pay the guy more money for more lines, couldn't you just reused some of the words, you know, voice lines, so he's not just grunting, considering the Super Brawley is the more fleshed out character.
Out of the Brawleys, he's the Brawley that's got like the most story and they like took time with. Yeah,
he's the most fleshed out character, but he's presented as the most one note bird in the game, while the other one's like using whole fucking sentences, and I'm like, I feel like this is switched up. But that's one of those things where I heard the Super Brawley do something like, wait, did Johnny Young Bosch start doing his voice? So I had that moment like a decade later where I had heard Johnny Young Bosch's voice enough to where I could recognize it based off of various grunts and yells.
Shout out to voice actor, man. Video game, cartoon, or otherwise. Voice actors, like voice actors. I mean, actors who do voice acting, but I would say for this case, even more like voice actors do not get a lot of credit. They really don't. So shout out to voice actors, bro. But also shout out to y'all for making it this far in the video. And if you would like to give our socials a shout, then please go ahead and follow me. You can go ahead and like my page on Facebook. That would be, excuse me, like the page on Facebook. That would be Superjaz, Superjaz. Let me say that again because I feel like I fumbled over my words. That's Superjaz. Like the page on Facebook. You can go ahead and follow your boy on Twitter. That would be Superjaz2. So that's Superjaz number 2. Please, if you would like to, follow me on my Instagram. So that would be Forever Superjaz, forever spelled correctly. And I am an MC from time to time. So if you would like to hear what I do in the booth, you can look up Too Much Free Time spelled correctly. That is, you might have to put in Superjaz, Too Much Free Time, because I'm not that famous yet, as well as keep looking out for, and it's getting close, Pete. Keep looking out for my secret identity. We'll be dropping hopefully by the end of September. Ooh. But of course I'll have a date. So yeah. Anyway, tell them something good, Pete.
Well, y'all know where y'all can find me. First of all, you can find me here, like I said earlier, every Wednesday on whatever we want, as well as on my YouTube channel that we shouted out earlier, feogrande. That's FEOGRANDE. As well as my Twitter and Twitch, both of which are GOTAVI, GIOTAVI. If you follow the Twitter, it should tweet out when I go live on Twitch. And yeah, that's pretty much where you can find me. Pretty simple, pretty straight to the point.
Right. What the fuck?
Like an arrow. Straight arrow.
And yeah, so I don't know what the fuck that was, but then again, I never know what that is with this guy. So anyway, we hope that you all will join us. We hope that you will give us some comments, engage in the discussion. Like I always say, I would not really ask you for likes. I won't really ask you to subscribe. Of course, I love and appreciate if you do, but I would ask you to comment, because if you comment, we can get a discussion going. You can tell us what you might want to talk about next.
And some of you have started commenting, and I like that.
Definitely appreciate it. Very, very, very much appreciate it. But as far as just like whether they give us a topic or prompt for the next video or otherwise, I'm not entirely sure. But Pete, maybe you could tell me. Maybe you could tell me what the fuck are we gonna talk about next?
Whatever we want, motherfucker. Adios, this.
Your shit broke out as you were doing it because of Zoom. It was like, what up, mother? It killed the thing. Bye, everybody.